Yeah, my name's Nathan. Obviously, I'm American. I went to university out in San Francisco at Stanford, where I got my bachelor's and my master's in computer science. Went and worked for Facebook for a few years before jumping ship to kind of my first startup. Worked at that startup, Let's Do This, for I think 3.5 years or so. And with them, I moved up to London. Kind of fell in love with the place, and then last year moved over to GetGround, where I've worked on our Apollo team, and I'm now the engineering on the growth team, or the engineering manager on the growth team, which I really enjoyed. I think for me, the values, right? Obviously, it's that GetGround actually personifies the values that it displays. The fact that you have 2 or 3 interviews that are specifically on values, and one of the big questions during the recruiting process on the other side is do they match the values of GetGround? I think speaks volumes. On top of that is I think we have an incredibly talented engineering base. Like, it is inspiring to be around some of the engineers that are here. I think that's highlighted. We did a hackathon back in November, and we did 7 live demos and not a single one crashed, which still just kind of blew my mind. I've never been in a hackathon where like every demo went flawlessly. But I think that, having been at a few companies, this is probably the most talented group of engineers I've been around. And I think it's inspiring just to be here. Yeah, so we currently run like a back-end front-end split, but we're actively working to fill the gap and have more people go full stack and kind of bridge that gap. I think the thing that's more interesting than the back-end front-end split, though, is kind of split in, what people focus on as engineers. We have some engineers that are have incredibly deep technical knowledge of the areas that they're experts in, and we hire for that to make sure that we have an incredible tech stack. On the other end, we also have plenty of engineers that are incredibly product focused, so they get really close to the product and work really hard to make sure that we're driving the product in the direction that aligns with our engineering goals. Then of course we have everything in between. So I think that we have a ton of talented engineers, both on the front end and the back end, that kind of span that split. We run React built on V8. Our components library is Material UI. But at every step of the way, we are constantly challenging: is this still the right decision, and what is the cost benefit trade-off for moving to Next.js or moving away from Material UI and using a different design system base. So while this is our current technology stack, I'm sure the backend has something similar. We shouldn't and aren't static. It's continually evolving thing, which is pretty exciting. And if that is something that excites candidates, then I think this would be a great place for them, because it's always about challenging the existing thing to make our product better. You have to be flexible and willing to pivot and willing to change, because you might come in on a Monday expecting your next month to look one way, and then by Wednesday that month looks completely and utterly different, which has happened to me a few times in the short time that I've been here. And you have to be comfortable with that. Like, you have to be willing to roll with the punches. You can't get, I guess, too attached to something when the business changed, the priorities change, things change, that you need to be willing to jump on to the next thing. And sometimes that means disagreeing and committing, which is a hard thing for people to do. It's not, it's something, you just have to be able and willing to do that. Day to day, it's actually a somewhat tough one to answer. I think that obviously you're going to have your regular rituals. So you're going to have your daily stand-ups, your retrospectives, your planning meetings, all that kind of stuff. But outside of that, it's a bit of a pick your adventure kind of thing. In the sense that, like, if what you would like to do is put your head down and code, then absolutely you can do that. And obviously as an engineer, you're always going to have to do some coding. But beyond that, if you want to get close to product and help, ideate and develop product, there is that space for you to do that. We actively encourage engineers to do that. If you want to get involved into kind of these cross guild or cross, we call them guilds, cross engineering initiatives to make our tech stack better, or, iterate on things like our design system, there's always that space for you to do that. And the big thing that we want you to do is to have impact. And however you best have impact, we want to encourage that. Here at GetGround, I think that we actually do stick really close to our values. And I think two in particular really highlight what the engineering organization is all about. The first is no BS and healthy ego. And those two things kind of seem somewhat contradictory, because, people are going to pick apart your ideas and challenge them, but they're going to do that in a healthy way that is not egotistical. So what I mean by that is, you're going to come in, or a lot of engineers like to come in and, say, hey, we should do this, we should do this, we should move to server-side rendering, we should, migrate to Next.js. And it's never met with like, no, we don't have time to do that. It is always met with like, hey, that's a great idea. And then, challenged in a healthy way to make sure that it is the best idea. So it's always about, it's never about someone's ego that they have tried and failed to do something before. If you have a new idea or something like that, it's always about what is best for the product, what is best, the best use of our time. And that really breeds this, really healthy culture of, encouragement. There's really encouraging culture to, just make our product better in general. It's interesting because every time you answer this question, one, it's always something different, but two, it's always something big. At the moment, if I think about the different teams, there's one team that is working on redesigning the entirety of our site and making the user experience completely different. On the front end, on the back end, we are completely challenging an assumption that we have built the entirety of our, of our data warehouses and everything on. We're changing from one company, one property to one company, multi properties, which is a huge undertaking. Other teams were actually starting to build out this cross-selling mechanism where we're actually, we're evolving from this, this product where we have, individual products that we sell to this, kind of all-in-one experience, and actually how that looks from both an engineering and a product standpoint. We have teams that are working on actually building out that cross-selling mechanism to make sure that, if you're getting a mortgage, we can then, offer you accounting and tax, or if you're buying a property, we're then, cross-selling you to have a mortgage or put that property into a company and that kind of thing. We're also expanding our product offering to personal landlords. So it's not just about those who have a company or want to create a company and put a property in there. We're trying to do what we can to support those people who just own a property outright. And then, on the growth side of things, we are building out our first refer a friend scheme. We are challenging the assumption that all of our products are pretty much behind a login wall. We're trying to strip away that login wall as much as we can. On top of that, we're A/B testing like that. We recently rebuilt the entirety of our marketing website in React, which was something that about halfway through the project, HubSpot released a beta version for exactly what we were trying to do, which was quite exciting for us. So, you asked me in 3 weeks' time, and we're all going to be working on something completely different, which I think is the exciting thing. Like, we move so fast, we do a lot. We are constantly evolving our thinking and challenging, what is the most impactful thing that we can do. So it makes it, really exciting. So every time you answer that question, I'm going to give a different answer. So ask me tomorrow.